Okay, so I've got Titania, Titania Forest to work out, Zoppoli, I've got Kiana, the trees of the trees of Lindus. Okay, yes, no, I've got so much stuff to explore. Lafala, I didn't even put in Lafala and the. Did I write the Cyrus Forests thing? Thermos. I forgot Thermos. And Lemuri. I did an article for Lemuri. I don't know if to. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Campaign Creators series. Now, we're going to deviate a little bit from our usual campaign creation, but it's for the good. If you are like, if you're like me, and you run around creating all of your notes, and you have notes everywhere, and I'm just looking at my desk, and there are notes and notes and notes and bits of paper, and there's book stuff. Organization is not a strong point. Now, if you've been using World Anvil, which we've been doing in this series, or any of the other world aggregators, I suppose, organization is still not a strong point. Oh, there's categories and things, which are really great, but, well, sometimes things get out of hand and you sort of forget about it, and then you write 100 articles and you don't know where they belong and all that kind of stuff. And then you look at other people's things and you go, well, so nicely laid out. Oh, look at that administrative ability that you have and that I don't have at all. So there's a new feature on World Anvil that's just been launched, and I'm going to take you through it in terms of what this will add to your campaign. And the first thing it's going to add, of course, is it's going to organize everything for you, and then it's going to make using it even better in online play. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you don't use World Anvil to keep your notes in place, well, have a look. Maybe this might be the thing for you. If you do use it, well, this is a new feature that when they showed me how it worked, I went, You get me! You understand the chaos and lack of ability that I have. So let's go and have a look at it. Let's just have a check here. So here, of course, is World Anvil directly behind me, and you can see all of the usual stuff. Now, what is new is this little tab up here called the Explorer tab. That's new. That's new. So before we go there, though, I want us to just have a look at the summary page. So this is the summary page, and you go, well, I can't find my articles. What am I going to be doing? There's some character bits and bobs, but I don't really know what's going on there, and it's just all over. Okay, let's view the world. Okay, how do I navigate around my world? There's articles and stuff, but there's no information. Well, that's because your articles, if you're like mine, are thrown all over the place. Now, I didn't realize, this is what I was used to seeing, was this sort of thing. And you go, oh boy, okay, so there's lots of articles, and there's some vehicles, and there's this and there's that, and it's sort of scattered, and it's very nice. I mean, I can see exactly what I need to see, and I can see how many words it is, and I can see when I've worked on it, and I can go and work on it if I want to. But this little tab here, where you've got World Tree, alphabetical by date, access state, publishing status, all those kinds of things, you can switch through. So when you switch over to World Tree, you suddenly see, oh, there's my categories, and then you see everything that's uncategorized. Pretty much everything, because when I'm creating articles, I'm not sitting there tagging and poor management. And, of course, what categories do you want to have in your world? So something that's important here is that you can just go add category. I'm going to add the category. I'm going to call this, let's say, Evil Forces. I'm going to create that category, and then I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to say, Lady Jakar World Eater, she's an evil force. I'm going to drag and drop her, and it's done! I was really glad to see this popping in, because then I can just come here and do that. You can see for gods I started, the Death Cult, the Blood Cult, but I didn't put in the Life Cult, I didn't put the Logic Cult in, because I forgot, and I scroll up. The logic, no, they're not a subset of Death Cult. They are there. And so you can then add subsets of these things as well. So it really, 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 really is just the easiest way to categorize everything without having to go back in again and fiddle and fumble and muck about, basically. So I really like that. Let's just add in one more category. Let's add in one more category, and we're going to call this, say, adventures. Create category. All right, so now we've got adventures. So let's compress these down so that we've got adventures just sitting there. So now I can put in here adventure number 1, which is what we wanted to do anyway. Scroll up, there we go, drop it in there, and I think, did we have another one? No, we didn't. But we do have campaign breakdown, so I'm going to drop that into the adventures as well. So it's now all linked. All right, so now we've made 3 categories, and you can carry on making more categories as you so choose, because we've still got transportation and all that kind of stuff. So let's go and talk about the Explorer now. So when I click on the Explorer, we've got a whole bunch of things that are important to look at. We've got the Codex, the Compendium, the Atlas, the Chronicles, and of course what's happening here. Now, the reason why the Explorer is so exciting, as far as I'm concerned, is that this is what you would sit on during your game. So if you've got your laptop next to you when you're busy running your game around a table, or you're running online and you've got it open up on a separate screen, this is where you would sit. And the reason for it is because, A, we can see all of the categories that we have made, and we can click on them and we can do drop downs or whatever. We, of course, can immediately search for anything that we like. So let's say Jakar. Did I misspell it? Maybe. Let's say blood, for the blood cult. So now we can see every article that relates to the word blood. So let's see. When we click on the creation of the sphere, we get to see the timeline that we created, our world event timeline, plus all of the bits and pieces. But notice there's this little pen tool. We can now change this right on the fly here without having to go anywhere else. So if we go on Gods of Gaia, now suddenly I can see, oh, look at this. We can adjust. We can make it no longer private. We can make it no longer draft. We can quick edit it, which I particularly like. We can change some things. We can add in some tags if we like. We can work on the article. We can view the article, of course, and then if we really, 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 really wanted to, let's go to the blood cult. We could actually go in and we can edit it. So that will take us through to the template that we're familiar with. All of the bits and pieces are arrayed for us. And we don't have to then go back. We can just close it. And there we are. We're back to our searchable option. So the Codex is really good if you've got articles categorized. Now, if you don't, and you're like me, and you go, well, I don't know what I've got, you can go to the Compendium. And the Compendium is all of the different categories that World Anvil presents to you. And if you have something in there, like, let's say, I don't know, ranks and titles, we've got Aetherios, Hegemony, Hero Ranks, and again, click on it and it brings it up. We can edit it. We can do whatever we like with it because it is all listed here for us. So this allows us to keep this open during the game, and as people talk about stuff, we can then go and search for it. The Atlas is doing exactly the same thing. It's showing us all of the maps that we have available, and as you would expect, you can click on anywhere in that map, and you can, of course, start to create your pins straight away. So that means, very excitedly, if I go to Aetherios, the actual continental map, you will see here that we can then start dropping down pins. Our characters are starting to walk from Abanjiro, they are walking to Nicastes. And as they're walking along, they have an encounter with a night hag. I can now, on the fly, make these adjustments. I can create this marker, and then it will start to appear in my codex. I can then go and edit it as I so choose. So there is really no easier way of maintaining and managing your experience now. And timelines, I make a history check. When was the world created? Oh, I click on the timelines, creation of the sphere, there we go, the emergence, it was called, and now we know the first empire was created then, and the sundering happened, and then the formation of the Aetherios hegemony, and this is how it happened, etc., etc. I've got still my 3 little buttons down here, which excuse me, to upload maps. It allows me to upload and create an article quickly. So if I wanted to add in something, we're going to see this tool being used next week. We're going to talk about that more, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I can do all of that from down here, and that's really, really making my life a lot simpler. So I can just have all of this going, and everything is fine. And if I click on these bars, it hides all of that other stuff. So this is now just a full page. And I can see where I've come from as well. If you look here in the top right, back to that map, that's where I was previously. So I can track where I've come from, where I'm going. All those kinds of things make it, for me anyway, something that is truly an exciting option. It really does showcase the power that you've now got. And just as a final thought, because we've spent quite a lot of time on this, but it's a really powerful tool. Look here, relations tree. I can see now where the articles link. I need to change their names, but even if I hover over the article, it will bring up where I have linked this article to, which it doesn't seem to make sense. My linking is wrong. Of course, the organizational parent of my organization is the same thing. No, that I will change later on. I will go in and I can delete it. I can make a new organization, which I should, because it shouldn't come in here. On the other hand, Blood Cult. When I go to Blood Cult, let's quickly edit this and we can adjust it as we so need to. Maybe this is not the exact layout that we want, so let's go to articles and let's take Blood Cult and let's drift it over. So these are now all sitting underneath the Gods of Gaia, because that's just what we want, and we do that, and then we go back to Explorer, and now we look at our gods. There is only one article because underneath is laid out everything that we want, and it just sits there so we can access it. We can hover over it so we don't even have to go there. We can see what's in that article without even needing to necessarily go there. So I'm just blown away by the functionality that we get. Look at this. We can now go to the Blood Cult because it sits to the right of it. We could go to the Elements, which is the next article, or we could go up back to Gaia. So your navigation is so easy. It really, really, really is simple. You can go and just... This to me was super cool. When they said, would you do a video on this? I went, yes, of course. I love it. It really, really just enhances that. And again, just look at how World Anvil's evolved over time in response to what you have been asking for. I think it's a truly, truly wonderful space in which within which to operate. Anyway, enough from me. I wish you and yours the very happiest of campaign map making and world building and life creation. And as they say, light up the forge.